You're tuned in to Repco Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Repco, in association with Mount Shelf, Maguire's and Rislone. This week, Fords in Fords and HQ number 1. We raid the epic neon-drenched garage of Martin Bennett, and we gatecrash Paeroa's biggest toy shop, AJ's Ford V8 Parts. But first, thanks to Maguire's, we're in the Waikato, checking out Stefan and Tony's 57 Bel Air, a New Zealand new sedan that some 6 years back didn't look or drive anything like the one you see now.
Definitely not the car that it is today. We took it for a test drive around Hastings. Could see it needed work, definitely needed work. It was registered and warranted, but that was probably about all that it was. You know, it was quite rattly, and we drove back up from Hastings to Hamilton. I drove it in the middle of the night. Started raining, found out the wipers didn't really work. There's no rubbers in the windscreen, so all the breeze was coming through. I think the bumper was held on by one bolt. Yeah, that really sort of was a good shakedown drive to find out what we wanted to do to it. We thought we'd just do a quick tidy up. It was going to be a car we were just going to take to the beach. We had a couple of dogs and kids, and thought, you know, we'd just have a car that they could just jump in and out of. And that was going to be the plan. And we looked around a few shops and found Josie's, took it in there, and it evolved from there. I guess it never really was a clear moment where it deviated from the plan. And once the paint went on, then we looked at the glass, and it had old scratched glass, and then it's new glass, and the chrome didn't fit with the new paint. And yeah, look, I remember talking to Willie, who works at Jonesy's, and said, look, we never planned on getting here. And he said, look, it's really hard to do a sort of okay job. You know, we put the paint on, really nice, and it started the process of a different build for us.
So, yep, that old slippery slope started with the paint. Always a tough choice. The going green part was easy, but nailing down exactly what shade of green, not so much. That all-new glass went in, framed by fresh stainless and new chrome, but you already know how these things go. That interior trim all of a sudden looked a bit underwhelming by comparison.
Black was definitely not one that we wanted to do. We'd, again, for over years looking at cars and owning different cars myself, we thought black would just be a black hole. So we were talking with the upholsterer. He suggested maybe tan. We came up with white, and he said, if you're going to do white, then do real white. Yeah. Look, we're glad we did. It looks really, really good, but it's a bugger to keep clean.
So, job done, and one trick-looking Tri-5 ready for the road. Hey, not so fast.
Got the body to the state that we liked it, got it all painted. We pulled it out of the shop to just before compliance, so it was 1 week into the start of its compliance, to take a daughter for a school dance. And driving it, we found like the brakes were, old drum brakes weren't really stopping the car. 350 was pretty tired, standard suspension. It was at that stage where we said, look, we probably need to look at changing that. I started looking for an injected motor, and stumbled across one sitting in a chassis that had Woolwood brakes, all the different sway bars and suspension setup, and decided that would go down that path.
Too easy then. One quick chassis switch and good to go. Yeah, about that.
Yeah, I think I told Tony, look, if we just buy this, it's 8 bolts. We'll lift off the body, bolt it back down, and it'll be done in a short period of time. I think we probably put another year on the build from that stage, and it was definitely more than 8 bolts.
While it marked yet another deviation from Plan A, the chassis swap made a whole lot of sense, even if the Jonesy's crew were now having to navigate their way around the fresh paint and interior. The Ramjet injected 350 sorts the lack of power problem with its 340 horses. It's backed by a smooth shifting 700 R4 and 10-bolt rear. Where the 8-bolt swap proved to be especially optimistic was in the steering. The replacement chassis, a left hook version. Eventually it was a second Holden Captiva unit that did the trick, and it now talks nice with the Link ECU to weight the power steering's response to match the 57 speed. Add in the upgrades to suspension and braking, and you've got one nice riding Bel Air.
We went from having a car with 1950s technology to pretty modern. Woolwood brakes, coilover suspension, sway bars. It drives pretty as close as a modern 57 as you could get without going to an Art Morrison setup. A car that starts first pop, but also you have all the, still the winding windows that you had in the 50s, so it's a good mix, I think, of modern and old.
And if you thought the twists and turns of this tale were behind us, then think again.
There's the time that it caught fire on the dyno after paint, the time where the brakes failed whilst driving away from the workshop and then bringing it back in. To have it finished and to be able to still enjoy it, has made the journey more interesting, is what I'd say.
And the build's trials and tribulations will only feel more distant with every mile that Stefan, Tony and the family clock up on the odometer. This Bel Air, a much improved version of a real Kiwi classic.
I love that it's a New Zealand new car. There's a lot of 50s cars in New Zealand and they're all American imports. So no offence to anyone who owns one, but they are very much the same. So having that New Zealand icon, which is driving on the right side of the road for us, knowing that it came from here and still remains here, I just love that we haven't followed the same path as everyone else.
Okay, thanks to our mates at Mount Shop, we're shed raiding. This week, it's one big toy shop, AJ's.
We're AJ's Ford V8 parts. We do from 32 to mid-60s Ford. We supply car parts, man cave stuff and die-cast toys.
And all that now under one very large roof in Paeroa.
Big move through to this building because we had built a purpose-built building at home for it and we outgrew it, basically. When we were looking at a bigger building, this came up for sale, and 100-year-old building, playing with 100-year-old cars, it just all worked.
AJ's was established back in 1974 by Arthur Lee. Brian and Liz took the reins 12 years ago and have upscaled, well, pretty much everything. The former dairy factory leaves little floor real estate untouched. A supermarket of early Ford treasures takes centre stage, while doorways lead you off into rooms full of spares and a bit of workshop space. It's not just Ford either, with all manner of memorabilia and collectibles now on site. While upstairs, the showroom hosts the extensive scale model collection and a recent addition, Neon Effect, among plenty of other distractions.
Yeah, look, it's a big kids' lolly shop. There's lots to look at and a bit of a trip down memory lane, some of it, people that haven't seen a certain item for years and years.
Coming to this place, coming to AJ's, stepping over the threshold here, it is about invoking a memory of something or someone in your past. There is a huge tradition of young boys and young girls helping their dad restoring these cars, working on these cars for many, many years, whether it's the old Falcon, whether it goes back earlier than that. But that's who we are. It's about the passion that drives us. It's because we've been brought up in it.
The AJ's umbrella might have grown of late, but all things automotive is still the name of the game. While Brian and Liz source and sell full-size American vehicles, the wow factor still has to be the rows and rows of early Ford treasure. A lineup you'd be impressed to find in the USA, let alone ready to dispatch at short notice from a small town in the Waikato.
From wheel bearings through to window rubbers and everything in between, engine stuff, gearbox stuff. Yeah, from, like say, 1932 to mid-60s and even into the 70s and F100. So we do car, pickup, truck, yeah, just everything that is available we try and have on our shelf or we can get from America. Spent a lot of time in the States finding contacts and using those contacts to get the harder to find stuff, and lots of time in wreckers yards over there and trying to find that little bit of chrome that just seems to be the unicorn horn,
Look, some of these cars are bona fide. Some of these cars have been dad's, granddad's or an uncle's car. We've, assisted on some memorial builds. But that journey, it's hugely emotional for a lot of clients. It might be their one and only build, but for other guys, it's their 10th or 20th, or some guys, even their 200th car. We will help you along the way to restore it, to get it up, get it running, and find you those rare parts that you can only find by looking in all the wrong places.
It's a good feeling when you see them even show up here, you know, in that said car, or, you know, in a magazine or on TV, or go to the likes of Beach Hop or any of the big events, Muscle Car and that, and see cars that we've helped get back onto the journey. Yeah, and it's really, really good feeling, yeah.
And be it American classics, early Ford parts, or just great reminders of the way things were, rest assured that not even COVID can halt Brian and Liz's hunt for that next must-have edition.
Yeah, we're always looking for the next thing, yeah. You know, I don't think the thrill of the chase will ever stop. New Zealanders are pretty good at collecting stuff. You can never have enough. You can never have enough old cars or toys, you know. There's always room for one more, I'm sure there is.
Protection of hybrid ceramic.
Whoa.
Now in 3 easy-to-use products. In original spray wax, now as a liquid wax, and a spray detailer. Meguiar's hybrid ceramic family with advanced SiO2 technology. Meguiar's, ceramic made easy.
Rizlone has been in engines almost as long as engines have been in cars. Why? Because from then until now, there's never been a perfectly clean fuel. This means every time you fill up, you're adding pollutants and contaminants to your fuel system. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner can cure those woes and help save your engine. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner adds an upper cylinder lubricant, providing double the cleaning power out of the same bottle. We know something about aging well, so when we say it's your engine's fountain of youth under a screw top, you can count on it. Rizlone is the original engine tune-up. Available at participating stores near you.
You're back with Repco Muscle Garage. Right, thanks to Rizlone, we're just out of Cambridge checking out one cool collection belonging to Martin Bennett, a lifelong car guy who got bit by the bug real early.
I really don't know. I did see a purple hot rod do a skid out of the corner, and I know that I was only 12 or 13 at that stage, and I just went, I've got to have one of them. I think my father was a big influence. He helped me build my first car, and it was a Morris Oxford. Worst car you could ever start. But at 14, we filled the rust holes and bogged it up and got it painted this cool blue. And yeah, I know, it just started to happen. I believe that cars are an extension. When you look at anybody's car, it's a piece of art that person has developed. You know, the little particular things they do to it is an extension of their own personality. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, whether it's a chopper or a Mazda, you know, RX-2 or an Austin A35 or a Morris Minor, as long as it's done properly, it's an extension of that person's personality. I'm open to anything, you know. I love muscle cars, but I wouldn't have one. I love a custom, but I don't want a Merc. I don't like a Merc. And they go, why? I don't know, everybody's got one. If it's a little bit different, I'm there.
While he appreciates variety, Martin admits his and Marion's neon-clad garages are increasingly becoming Ford-centric as the years tick by. And yes, that includes the running gear. There are a couple of notable exceptions to the blue oval theme, but exceptions with fair excuses. They belong to his kids, and one of them has real significance. The HQs were introduced when Martin was working at the Holden factory, and with a bit of encouragement, his dad swooped in on this example that was sitting pretty on the showroom floor.
And gave it to me when he was 84, and he said, you've got to look after this car. He said, I'm over it. I said, don't give it to me, because I had enough cars. I said, put it in your will to Ryan, my son, and I said, I'll look after it till he's ready. It needed a little bit of TLC. We found that the number plate was production number 1. Now, we owned the car for, I don't know, 50 years, and we never noticed it. But yeah, as production plate number 1, it's pretty special. and it's not going anywhere. People say, you know, why do you drive it? And I say, well, it's not going anywhere, it doesn't matter.
Apart from those slight diversions, the garage is pretty well Ford from here on out, but there's not a whole lot of factory spec. We featured the 37 pickup a few years back, and it's come a very long way from the 1.5-ton commercial vehicle it started life as. Chopped and channeled just to start, the cab and tray's original form is almost unrecognisable, even before factoring in that terraplane nose. The pickup is powered by a 396 big block with a gang of Webbers playing bartender. Surprisingly, the 37 is not the wildest hot rod here. That crown belongs to Martin's Uncertain T Tribute, a top-secret 7-year recreation of a mid-60s USA show rod. The Tilted T, incredibly, was built from nothing but old magazines and a scale model for reference, and understandably created a huge buzz when Martin and Marion, together with a few friends, unveiled it at the monstrous SEMA event in Las Vegas before touring the US show circuit. The new addition to the lineup is this 56 big back window F100. Martin's already locked in plans for the pickup that include a 351 Cleveland, but he claims this one will stay more of a daily driver. With a collection that looks like this, you'd think competition for the title of favourite would be tight. But still, there's one car that trumps the pack.
I think it's got to be the Ranch Wagon. I said to Marion many years ago, I said, I need a car, I'm bored. We haven't got a house. We were building our business and we built a commercial building and we were renting a house. And I said, look, can I just get a car and build it? And so I found that panel van from Rotorua for $4,000. And we got it home and started on it. And that's been, we've owned that car for 20 years. So this build now will be its third build.
You'll no doubt be as surprised as we are to hear Martin refer to the 55 as a build. After all, the wagon not too long ago debuted in its all-new guise and took out top spot at Repco Beach Hop. But he's a tough critic, Martin. The car seems to have another revision in it. And a big part of that move is back to Ford motivation. Slightly controversially taking out the angry 350 Chevy in favour of a 292 Y block that's about to get yanked from the F100.
Touch, my best mate, goes, you know how fast it'll go? That's not what it's about. It's about opening the bonnet and seeing triple carbs and a C4 behind it. That's what I see. I don't see the fact that it's not going to do 100 mile an hour in 7 seconds. That vision isn't seen yet. I've got the triple carb manifold, I've got the tappet covers, I know I'm going to put a Jag front, Jag rear, I've talked to the right people about it. So I know what that car will look like when it's finished. I don't know if everybody has that ability, but I believe a lot of hot rodders have that vision in their own head because it's an extension of their own personality in an art form.
Undoubtedly, the biggest art form here is uncertainty. Martin kept his options open when recreating Steve Scott's 60s showstopper with a Kiwi twist, engineering elements with both the Certman and real-world road miles in mind. The most obvious, of course, being the location of the steering wheel, but is fast realising that quest for street-legal status means straying too far from the source material, undermining many of the details he so painstakingly recreated from the original 60s car. As such, the Uncertainty Tribute may not call New Zealand home for much longer. But there's little doubt it has done its job. Sure, it may not look like such a sharp investment if the receipt book is the sole judge of success, but as the motivator to tour the States, a T-shaped talking point that paved the way to meet a host of hot rodding's legends and cement lifelong friendships, the experiences just this car alone has provided are the ones you can't put a price tag on.
Every car I've sold it for half or less than what I invested. So it's not for the money, it's for the experience of doing it. And I think that it's often, for me, it's not even the finish, it's the build. It's the creation. If you watch some of the early movies from hot rodding, those people were just ordinary blokes who just loved to go fast or just wanted to change their cars. Together we all enjoyed this hobby, and everybody does. You talk to Roy Brizio, and they did the same shit that we did as kids. And I think that the hobby, I don't know where it's going to go, I'm not sure, But, you know, we've got young kids now doing RX2s. And so whilst it's not a 32 or it's not a 34, those guys have got the same passion that we have, I'm sure. I have so many cool memories from 14 about cars. I can't imagine life without them. And other people can't imagine life with them, you know. But if it's in your blood and it's there and you want to do it, you have to. Otherwise you'll live in regrets. And I'm not living in regrets. Marion says it's a disease and it's curable only by death.
Your ride needs some love? We've got you sorted. Thanks to our mates at Maguire's, we have this massive complete car care pack worth over $760 to give away. Plus, a $500 Mount Shop voucher to keep the underside ship-shape too. And to top it off, 1 year subscription to NZ V8 magazine. To enter, simply head to themotorhood.com and hit the Repco Muscle Garage link. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series. Easy. During this year's Repco Supercars Championship season, the garage is your go-to place for all things supercars and motoring. Exclusive content, special guests, and your chance to win amazing experiences at the track. Register your interest today. Repco Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Rislo, high performance additives for high performance vehicles.